Past listener. So when you listen, you digest, you assimilate these principles. Huh? I'm supposed to be your teacher. So you listen to your audio files and you go to it, you contemplate and reflect. So listening gives you a deeper insight. Now, speaker, now you speak. You wake up in the morning. Mind is now ready to be a speaker. To yourself, the body has a pain, you speak to the body. You speak to daughter, you speak to son, you speak to honey, you speak to mom, you speak to everybody, employer, and everyone. So that speaker in you should take birth to get rid of this impulsive, instinctive, and habitual pattern of the mind. Otherwise, the mind will go back to habit. Third, you are neither a listener nor a speaker. Then what should you do? Meditate. You have time. So neither listener nor speaker, I have understood the principle. Let me absorb myself into the meditation. So it becomes a practice. Fourth one. Fourth one is tricky because the mind tricks. It wants to go back where it finds security. Where it finds security, habit, instinct, impulse. Impulse simply means desire that we have experienced before, that we have lived before, and now it wants to repeat itself. So, whenever the mind is not working and you are working habitually, say for example, going into the restroom, remember, recall the principle. Which principle I learned? Any principle you recall, you will understand how far the mind wants to progress and how deep the problem is. So one time you will find there is no principle is coming into mind. Oh, mind is too much carried away. Introduce the principle. This women, when I introduced these four steps, after a few months, she wrote an email. I become the bathroom singer. I recall all the principles. And she was so much full of joy writing an email. She said, "This is it. This is what you have been saying to me." And I went into the kitchen. My mind was singing that I am of the nature of peace and happiness. So that preparing coffee became a play. There was no ego sense. Otherwise, habitually, we always have an ego sense. I'm handsome, ego sense. I have this beautiful body, ego sense. I have a good house, ego sense. I can make everything, ego sense. Doership, enjoyership. So, the fourth principle will break that bondage. Then the principle comes, I'm pure consciousness. Now you start feeling it. You start understanding what you are not, by which takes the birth who you are. Who you are. I am of the nature of permanent peace and happiness, love and wisdom. When I say this, or when you say this, the mind says, I understand, I know it, and I experience. First option. When you say, I am of the nature of permanent peace and happiness, mind says, hell with you. You have always been suffering. The honey is not listening to you. The office work is pending. I got a loss in the profit. Now this must change. It does not mean that the loss will be converted into profit, but you will evolve. The mind will become more creative. Huh? You see that, Okay, honey is reacting, but the he or she also has her essential nature full of peace and happiness, it will not change her. It is going to change you. Many people say, simply ask the question, it means if I say that in my honey, peace and happiness are essential nature, will my honey change? Why the honey will change? Honey is not doing the practice. I will change. I will raise the bar of my awareness in life. Do you see? I will raise the bar of awareness in life. And now my honey comes with all kinds of tantrum and reaction, and my mind is still in peace and happiness. Third level. Now I have seen it. Now I'm going to the kitchen or the restroom. I'm lying down, sleeping. My mind reminds me you are not a sleeper, you are not a waker, you are not a dreamer. When that state enters into the mind, then I realize, yes, because I'm none of them, hence I am my real nature. I cannot see my real nature, but I follow the process of understanding, negation. What the mind has accumulated is not me. And then I know who am I. I cannot be two. I am only one. So as long as I am the waker, sleeper, and dreamer, the mind will go back. Come on, I have told you, you are a waker, you are a sleeper, you are stressed, you are honey. You see that? You are handsome, I'm wealthy. The mind will go back. So when the mind stops going back to whatever is seen, whatever is seen is not me. Then I settle myself into the seer, and that seer is Satchidananda. That seer is absolute consciousness bliss. Question comes, why I am the way I am? Look at it. I read somewhere, if I'm not mistaken, then I will say like this, that this mind every day has 60,000 thoughts every day. And out of the 60,000 thoughts, we remember hardly 50, 100 thoughts. Sometimes we remember the feeling, we have an anxiousness, we have reaction, we have resistance in that thought. Now, say for example, you are 40 years old. So 60,000 multiplied by 30 means 30 days in a month, multiplied by 30 years, more or less you come out to about 7 billion thoughts at present. 7 billion thoughts in 30 years. But that is not the end of it. Those 7 billion thoughts have trillions of impressions because they have been repeated n number of times. In physics, in mathematics, we say n number of times. So it means I have trillions of those impressions in the mind. I've been accumulating those impressions. Unless I remove those impressions, how can I reach to that state? 7 trillion impressions. How can I remove that? That those impressions makes me habitual, instinctive, impulsive in my life. One. See that. That makes my mind habitual, impulsive, instinctive. 7 trillion impressions. Example. One thing. And how those impressions are living my life. I'm not living my life. So I have to get rid of it. You know what happens? Any event triggers, my mind goes back to those impressions, correlate and react and respond. So it is, I'm still, those impressions are living my life. What kind of a life I'm living? I don't know what the life is. Whether it is anger or pleasure or hesitation. I see a beautiful girl. So my mind recalls that impression of pleasure, which I had in the past. Now see that. But is there any need for it? No. But why it has come? Habitual, impulsive, instinctive. My mind has already a saving account and a current account. What is that current account? The current account, I see an event and an object, it triggers, relates it to the past impression, and I start living into that pain or that pleasure. I had a wonderful friend in India. Sometimes these impressions takes over you so deeply and heavily that you lose total awareness. I would say by nature, he is not of that type which you can brand him as sex maniac or sexually obsessed person. He was not. He was a wonderful guy. And he is still alive, so he is a wonderful guy. But the moment he goes to the store, even with his wife, he looks at a girl and he got obsessed. His eyes opened up little more. He stops in the mall. He keeps looking, and that he had lot of hormonal changes in the body at the same time. And he was so much scared of going to the mall. He said, no, I'm not going. Honey, come on. And his wife knew that he is a wonderful guy. He is not of that type. Look at the impressions, how these 7 trillion impressions causes the problem in life. So we have a trigger point, whether it pertains to money, sex, eating, clothes, our own body, shape in the size, anything, anything of the object outside. And that permeates in my mind subconsciously, habitually, the way I sit, the way I talk, the way I now see the beautiful changes that took place in one more person recently, this guy of IT. My wife was saying that now I speak softly. It is not hitting her. I said that will happen because you are going deeper. Because now you are not speaking out of habit, instinct, or impulse. That is coming from deep inside. Your voice is going to be soft. So sometimes people people undergo many changes in the life. So it means now go slowly. Mind lives and works with the qualities. What is the quality? Quality is its attitude. Quality is a character. Quality is a one skill set. So, what are the skill sets of the mind at this time? Anger, hesitation, reaction, habitual response comes out. These are the qualities. Even the pleasure is also a quality. Happiness is also a quality of the mind. See that quality. Are you different from the quality or are you one with the quality? In anger, you become anger. That is why you say, I am angry, I am agitated, I am obsessed. Come on, this obsession is a quality of the mind. Can I see both are separate? Qualities. Today you will understand, once we come to the end of the chapter, you say, this is so. simple and this is so deep. You know it, you know the principle, but the teacher has to explain the way you can understand. That is our job. Otherwise, we can read everything in the Upanishads and these. So it means the mind lives in these qualities. Qualities. Anger, hesitation, pleasure, pain, happiness, goodness, focus. Everything is a quality of the mind. It is the content of the mind. Content of the mind. So we are understanding the quality. Mostly mind lives with these qualities. What is the meaning of the quality? It means the attribute, it's a character, it's a trait, it's an ability. If there is no anger, how can I become angry? So anger is present in the mind. Pleasure is present in the mind I experienced before. So what happens? These qualities trigger the mind in being a listener, in being the speaker, in being the doer, in being the enjoyer. I love you. It has no emotion, no difference. I love you. I like you. You see, the quality behind is love that is being expressed. So the qualities of the mind trigger my thought, my speech, my action. Well, we are understanding step by step. Qualities of the mind trigger my thought, my speech, and my action. So, what are those qualities? It anger with the thought, jealousy with the thought, pain with the thought, pleasure with the thought, love with the thought. Qualities, thought, speech, and action. Huh? Thought, speech, and action. Kindness, equanimity, love, sympathy, empathy, support. Huh? I always write thank you for your support to everyone. That is also a quality. That is also. So mind is now understanding, mind is living in me, and that has already accumulated both the qualities, good, bad, high, low. I'm not talking, I'm at present we are talking only of these qualities, 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 whether it is a kindness or anger, sympathy or empathy, agitation or reaction, pain or pleasure. We are going slowly. So now we come to what yoga says. Yoga says all these impressions has a place inside us. It is known as karma shaya, reservoir of karma. Patanjali uses karma shaya, so I'm using the word reservoir of the mind. You see, he never says river of the mind. If the river of the mind, then it will continue to flow. We need not to worry. We need not to practice any meditation. It is the pond. So when the pond, the water sinks after some time, you have algae in the water. It covers, it veils the clean water. So accumulation. We are constantly accumulating these qualities in the mind. And where we are accumulating? In the mind, we have karma shaya, the reservoir of karma. It's a reservoir of the karma. I became angry. So becoming angry is a karma. Its impression is anger. Huh? So that is why it is known as karma shaya. Next question comes. I took birth. At that time, there was no impression. I did not know what the anger is, what the anxiety is, what the reaction is, what the pleasure is, what the pain is. Why? What is the origin? Huh? So that next question comes, what are these from what is the origin of these qualities present in my mind. Do I want to be angry? No, but still I become angry? Yes. Why? Because anger is present in me as an accumulated impression. That is expressed in thought, speech, and action. Easy to understand. Logically. From where these qualities came to our personality? One, and why? Two. So I must answer these two questions. So then I understand the origin of these accumulated impressions. Then I can take the right action and I can remove it. So simple. Once I know the cause, the root cause, then I can know the method by which the root cause can be removed. So anger is there. I become angry because the anger is there in me as a quality. Pleasure is already present in me. So I look at something, some object or a girl, and I am attracted. And the sense of the pleasure inside triggers in my mind. Question is, then mood question comes, why we are the way we are. I never thought of it that my mind should draw me to the pleasure or a pain or a reaction in anger. Why I am the way I am? Why? Who caused this? These two questions comes to our mind for understanding. And our master's answer is dharma and swadharma. Dharma. Dharma, one meaning of dharma is also qualities. The other meaning of dharma is my essential nature. And swadharma is my personal self. One is real self, one is personal self. We are going slowly to understand it. So, what is dharma and swadharma? One is dharma. Dharma means my essential nature, my real nature. And that real nature is one, present everywhere. That is Satchidananda. What is personal self? What is personal self? So let us call Swadharma is personal self. So not many people come to me to learn this Eastern wisdom. They have their real self is also there. So it is the personal self has some impressions in the past. That is why you are attracted to this journey of the self discovery for awakening and realization. That is why you are here. It is a part of the personal self. Real self is always one in everywhere. Whether person is criminal, real self is there, but criminal is a part of the personal self. You see, I enjoy past is a part of the personal self. The real self is always full of happiness. What is Swadharma? What is this personal self? First, this personal self carried from the previous birth. With all those impressions are already present. That is why the way I behave, the way I think and act, that is the reason of the personal self. Science says DNA, but DNA doesn't give a right clue. DNA gives a clue of the shape and the size and the color. And sometimes they have started saying DNA also contains the mental inherited tendencies. So they have some of the scientists have concluded If parents are suffering from anxiety, then you will also suffer from anxiety. That is not true in my case. It was true in young age, but later on, it totally disappeared. So the science says that is your inherited natural trait of the personality that will continue. We say that can be changed. The personal self can be changed, transformed completely. Masters see that clearly, makes you capable. So what happens? What is Swadharma? So we teachers understand why you think the way you think, why your mind puts a question, and where the mind is going because of your personal self and accumulated impressions. So we need not to objectively verify giving you an anxiety questionnaire to check whether you are suffering from anxiety or not. We understand the way you speak and talk and think about the world, about yourself. This psychiatrist, beautiful psychiatrist, she is very humble. So I asked a question to you, send me the answer. That's I always give to everyone. So what is the goal of life? Her answer, to survive. Come on, my dear. Are you not surviving? Is your mind will decide to survive? Did you not survive when you took birth? You had no thought. I asked you, what is the goal of your life? Life means you already surviving. What you want to do with your life? I picked up how deeper the level of ignorance she has. But she is a genius. She is a psychotherapist. She is helping others. Personal self. What is Swadharma? So, as we understand that DNA also means the inherited tendencies. You are a replica in your previous life about your parents, mother and father. So, that is what the DNA is. But we say that all these qualities pass from the previous birth, plus qualities of the current birth, plus the qualities means saving account, current account. So, what our masters are saying, we are given this body, mind, intellect, ego, place of the birth, parents, condition, wealthy, rich, or poor, physical body, male or female, to exhaust the previous karma to continue our journey of life of evolution. That is the personal self. Personal self. Now, question comes, when we start this Eastern wisdom, then the question comes, I want to get rid of the suffering. Suffering is caused by the accumulated impressions present in my karma shaya. That is the way I think and speak and act. If I want to change, I must remove the root cause, means those qualities of the mind that are harmful, that are not good, that causes the suffering in my life. That is a part of my personal self, not the real self. And this personal self is creating a veil. Real self is behind. So my personal self says, I'm in anxiety, help me. When I relax, in a deeper state of relaxation and calmness, the mind for some time leaves its tantrum and the qualities, and I have a glimpse of that real self, which is relaxation and calmness. . which is relaxation, it is calmness. But we say you have to remove all the cause of the suffering, those accumulated impressions causing the ignorance. Once you liberate, once you remove them, you liberate yourself from the suffering. You exhaust all the karma in this birth. Yoga ends the suffering. Yoga is the highest meditation that reveals the knowledge of reality. No more checking account, no more saving account, no more impressions are there. But what about these qualities now? Now, once I say, you will say, oh, this is it. What are these qualities? There are all the millions of these impressions, trillions of these impressions living in a pond of the mind known as karma shaya can be grouped into three set of qualities. Do you recall sattvic, rajasic, tamasic? We simply talk about sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, but we do not understand it. You see that? You like me? Liking everything without any attachment is a sattva quality. We don't become aware, we simply talk about it. I have to live, I have to experience that sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic qualities. See that? We always talk, everyone talks, yo, it's a sattvic, it's a rajasic, it's a. Come on. Which are you talking with the sattvic quality? Are you talking with the rajasic quality? Are you talking with the tamasic quality? So instantly they say that I understand, and the next moment they are anxious. So your tamasic nature, that tamasic quality present in the mind, is opposing the knowledge even when you are talking of the sattvic quality. So there is no change. Do you see that? I started with a 60,000 thoughts, then 7 trillion thoughts, and those impressions. They are all qualities of the mind and the personal self and the real self. And then we come to three sets of qualities in the mind. I am lazy day by day, doing meditation practice. I become lazy. Tamasic quality. I have to change the tamasic by rajasic. I have to push my mind. Come on, I have to do the practice. No, I don't get the benefit. No, let me do the practice again. By understanding. No, I'm not getting there. No, I have to do the practice until I change that tamasic nature, the habitual nature, the instinctive nature, the impulsive nature. That is how the journey goes. So, from if I let me recognize every time I go to this guy and my mind is ready to react, it opposes the knowledge. I have to push my mind to be Rajsic. Today, I will go to this guy and I will express my thought and speech in love and care, even if I don't like that person. I'm changing Tamasic to Rajsic. Are you getting it? And then, once I enter into the Rajsic, then I have to get rid of the ego sense. I have to get more knowledge and clarity to move to the Sattvic. That is the process. Three qualities, group them from bottom to top. Bottom to top means tamasic, ignorance and inertia. It opposes knowledge. Many a times, my friend, it happens that intellect says, I have understood. In thought, speech, and action, mind behaves the way it is behaving. My personal self, karmasha. So now I understand I have to change this tamasic to rajasic. Pasta alone can meet my hunger. Take one example. Can alone meet my hunger. So I am opposing the knowledge. Other food can also meet my hunger. But my mind is obsessed. To when I am obsessed for anything in the world, tamasic quality is more. I leave the practice of meditation. I stop learning the Eastern wisdom that tamasics makes my life as their home. Extreme fatigue, exhaustion, hope, daydreaming, inertia, laziness continues in my life. Drugs, substance abuse, etc., and etc. At the level of the intellect, I understand harmful. Still, I'm using it because I'm opposing the knowledge tamasic. Now, see, I need to educate the mind to leave pasta as a delusion. Why you are opposing knowledge? The moment your mind starts thinking like this, you want to move away from the tamasic to the rajasic. First thinking and move forward. I need to make an effort. I have to change the habit by first putting the knowledge in the mind that pasta alone can meet my hunger is a delusion. It is an impulsive, it is a habit. So today I will eat what I don't like. That is tapasya, tapa. But I do it consciously. I do it consciously. One example. So otherwise, what happens? What is going to happen? The moment you say, today instead of pasta, I'm going to eat, say, for example, oatmeal, then what is going to happen? The moment you think in the mind, the energy is released. Prana. Now the change of the prana. Prana has become a slave to that pasta, impulsive and habit. The moment you think, some energy is released. The more you think, the more energy is released. Now, with that thinking, you act on it, and that becomes the Rajasic quality. Without Rajasic, we cannot discipline and educate the mind. Now, in the Sattvic, in the Sattvic nature comes eat to live or live to eat. Live to eat any food which is nutritious, contains all these elements, which is good for the physical body, should be taken. Why only pasta? Sattvic, knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. So you see that all the millions of the qualities we can change from tamasic to rajasic to sattvic. The real self, now go back, real self is minus personal self. Personal self contains all the three qualities. So many master defines meditation is beyond these three qualities. So it doesn't mean that I should not work on the personal self. Let the personal self reaches at the peak of the sattvic quality. Why? Sattvic quality is nearest to the real self. Tamasic quality is too far from the real self. Simple way. When we have a clarity of understanding, then we know the importance of yama and niyama. Now, the yama and niyama comes from inside. Yama and niyama is a practice of the mind first. Non-violence. You see that? Non-stealing. Purity of the body and the mind. Impurity of the body is also tamasic guna. When it happens, when I become totally lazy. Oh, who will take a bath today? Next day comes, then I have not taken a bath for 7 days. That smell in the body adjusts and aligns with my habit and impulse, and I don't feel any bad smell, even if I don't take bath for 7 days, for example. No, I do not become angry, but you make me angry. Same thing at the mental level. Same thing at the mental level. So I'm looking at the qualities in the mind. Fourth step: listener, speaker, no speaker. And the fourth step: during the day when the mind is moving habitually, I have to introduce these principles. Now understand little more deeper. Personal self is not me and mine. It creates the doer, it creates the enjoyer because of sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. So there are a lot of people in the world whose personal self works accordingly to the sattvic by default because of the previous impression. So we get an answer because of the past impression, the reservoir of the karma or these impressions of this guy belongs more to the sattvic nature. That is why he is not suffering from the stress and he is continuing his life. But still, his short is the real nature. Personal self is not me and mine, but real self is me and mine. So that remembrance, that journey comes when we have clarity of understanding. We start working. Tamasic should go to Rajasic, Rajasic should go to Sattvic. Then only we can work. These three gunas or quality, that is why it is known as guna. Guna means quality, attribute, character. So we understand philosophically and we forget the rest. Then it will not work. It has to work every day. Am I speaking with the sattvic nature? Or am I speaking with the rajasic nature? Am I speaking with the tamasic nature? So use that word I love you in a tamasic way, in a rajasic way, in a sattvic way. Quality is working behind the mind. Quality is already, I have to change that mode. I have to change that quality. These three gunas, sattva, raja, and tama, born from the root cause known as prakriti, the consciousness force. This is not me. This is present in the world. This has to work. Why it has to work? That is how we have to evolve. That is how the existence has set a stage to all the waves. Oh, all the waves know that you are water. Sattvic nature. What is sattvic nature? The sattvic nature is purely of the light. What we say light, it is of the knowledge. So I must trigger my intellect in every thought, speech, and action to see where the knowledge is located in thought, speech, and action. I married with you, you are my honey, so I have lot of expectations. So whenever I have expectations, you meet my expectation. Is it right knowledge? I'm moving into Rajoguna. I'm bound to have conflict. There is no reason. Who started the conflict? I. Not the honey who is not meeting my expectation. From where it has come? From the personal self. What is the personal self? From the accumulated 7 trillion impressions in the mind. Go back. No, when you start thinking in this way, your mind becomes lighter. It becomes clear. Oh my goodness, mind, you are making me crazy. I will not allow you to make me crazy in any situation. So, Sattvic Guna, when we say Sattvic Guna, first we should understand the knowledge, light. Now, that contains Satoguna contains the power of the knowledge, it contains dispassion, it contains detachment, it contains calmness and peace. Satoguna contains, these are different qualities. It contains forgiveness, it contains patience, it contains purity, it contains self awareness. These are the special qualities of the Satoguna. So when sometime you say, okay, I'm totally calm, I'm not affected by what you are saying, let us sit and talk again to resolve this problem. I'm using the Sattvic Guna. Do I do in every situation, or my impulsive habitual nature takes over? That is why we have the fourth step. Fourth step, when the mind is habitual, when mind is not thinking anything, then it has to move with the impulse, with the habit, with an instant. No. Mind, where are you going? Peace is your essential nature. You are singing. You become a bathroom singer. Who becomes the bathroom singer? You like a particular song. Your mind. You're listening to it couple of times, and one day you don't even know it. Your mind starts singing the song. So we follow the same process. We have to introduce these principles until these impressions and impulsive behavior and instinctive should not take over my mind. To dissolve those karma shaya, the accumulated impressions, to change personal self, to realize the real self. That is the journey of Satoguna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. It is not simply we know, oh, Satoguna, food, and Rajoguna. No, leave that part later. Now, Rajoguna. Rajoguna has two qualities. It it is it makes the mind outward moving, seeking pleasure, and the pleasure is a delusion. So in turn, we get a pain. The two qualities. So it says pravrti and dukkha. Dukkha we know suffering, and pravrti means the outward tendency of the mind, running all the time. It has many other qualities. You have no contentment at all. You are not satisfied in your life. Satisfaction level is not there. You feel pain, you avoid pain, you get pleasure, again you get pain, you get pleasure, pain and pleasure cycle continues. Then lobha, the greed is also there. I made a plan to earn a $1 million, but I got $500,000 and I'm suffering because I got a loss. You did not get it, how you are lost. So that is one part of the greed. Non forgiveness. Or I don't like to forgive anyone, even including myself. That non forgiveness to myself, people start committing suicide. Because I live in dominant of Rajoguna. That builds a ego sense. I did not achieve what you have achieved. I see my neighbor, extreme jealousy, non forgiveness to myself, and ultimately it leads to anger, greed, and Tamoguna. Tamoguna has the mind is confused. Whenever the mind is confused about any object or a person or a thing, then I am in tamoguna fasting. Second is delusion. I oppose knowledge. So I want to live in delusion. I gave an example that only pasta can meet my hunger. I invited a guest here. Do you have a Coke? So I always keep those things, which I don't take because I know unnecessarily they will create problem. Now I always like to take Coke with food. I said, okay, take burn your belly. What should I say? Tamse guna, confusion, delusion, confusion, delusion, and perverted perception is there. What is perverted perception? That every beautiful woman is meant for pleasure. Perverted perception. So when I have delusion, when I oppose knowledge, that leads to that leads to tamoguna. What are the other qualities of tamoguna? Lack of awareness of reality. Opposite of viveka. Moha. Moha means delusion. Pramada. Extremely attached to the things. You, in the waking state, you are dreaming and sleeping. Lot of sleep, ego sense. They are all the three. Many other qualities of the tamoguna. Trishna, craving, krodh, wrath. That is also the rajoguna. Other laziness, ignorance, delusion belongs to tamoguna. But when you experience even a little pleasure, there is an indication of satoguna. You experience more pleasure, you that is also an indication of a satoguna. You experience more pleasure, that is also an experience of satoguna. That is why you see in sexual pleasure, that idea that two who have undergone that sex loses their identity. It is because they lose their identity, that is why we experience the pleasure, not because we are performing an act. But we fall back into tamoguna. I did this, I did that. So we experience that also. So whenever I'm happy, you wake up in the morning, you're calm and relaxed and full of joy. Find out, become aware, increase that, live into that. Don't allow the mind to go back to the other qualities. That is the fourth step. That is the fourth step. So, this is what is you have to live with. So,